How do you create the security model for the data? How do you create the security model for the data? First of all, object level permission. First, let us go with the object level permission. When you want to say object level permission, how do you control the permissions of the object? Permissions on the object. Permissions on the object are controlled using. So whether you are able to see the object or not, can you see the object or not? Can you create the record or not? Can you modify the record or not? Can you delete the record or not? So where are these permissions given? These permissions are given at a profile level. So what are the permissions we have? We have the permission like read permission, create permission, edit permission. On the object, on which object you can perform a read, on which object you can perform a create, on which object you can perform a edit or delete. This is control using what? Profile. This is control using what? Profile. Let us take an example. Now, I am going to the manager profile. Go to the manager profile. For the manager profile, on a transaction object, I told remove create button. On transaction object, what is the permission I give? Read, edit, delete. We are not speaking about the data. We are speaking about table. In the table, which records are there? What you can do, I am not speaking. On the table, what can you do? The question is, are you allowed to see the table or not? If you are allowed to see the table, on the table, what operations you can perform? We are only discussing about which tables you can see. On the table, what can you perform? So right now, on the object, what is the permission I give? Read, edit, delete. I removed create button. As I remove the create button, go to the Wilson, click on the transaction. Are you finding the new button again? So, Wilson is not able to create a new record. He can only see the existing record. If you want, he can modify. If you want, he can modify, delete the existing record. Is he able to edit? Okay. Now go to the manager profile again. I removed edit and delete. When I removed edit and delete, so what? Wilson can perform. Wilson is allowed to perform only read operation on the. So on the table, what operation you can perform? Only read. What operation you can perform? Read. So on the object, what a user can do is decided by profile. Profile controls what type of operation that user can perform. Suppose in the profile, I don't have the permission on the object. In the profile, I don't have the permission on the object, but still I am able to see. In the profile, let us say, go back. In the manager profile, I told no read access. When I removed permission, still I was able to see the object. What may be the reason? What may be the reason? If you want to give any extra permission for a specific user, then what we use? Permission set. In the profile, when I open the profile of a shop, when I open the profile of a Wilson, when I opened a profile of the Wilson, you don't have the permission on the object, but still you was able to see the object. What may be the reason? We might have granted the permissions using permission set. What is the purpose of permission set? If you want to grant any extra set of permissions for a specific user, we will create. So what is the other way of granting the permission on the object? Using permission set. So in how many ways we can control the permission on object? Using profile, using permission set. But okay, profile is for everyone. Permission set is for specific user. Are you clear about the point? How the permissions on the object are controlled? Using profiles. Permissions on the object is controlled using the profile. Permissions on the object is given by using what? Profile. Am I clear? Now, you are able to see the table. When you are able to see the table, Which records in the table you are able to see? There are 10 records. Can you see every record in the table? There are 10 records in the table. Can you see every record in the table? Which records you are allowed to see? What type of operation you are allowed to perform? That is controlled by OWD. What is that? Organization-wide default setting. So look at the format. Look at the format. I have 111. Sham is the owner of the record. Customer ID 111. There are 3 records. In the table, there are 3 records. When a user opens, which of the following records are visible? When a user log in, which of the following records are visible? What he can perform is a question mark. Now let us see. I gave OWD. OWD stands for Organization-wide Default Setting. OWD stands for Organization-wide Default Setting. What is the minimum level of permission? What is the minimum level of permission that you want to give for everyone in the organization? On the records, OWDs are used. OWDs are used to define the permissions on the records of a table. OWDs are used for what? To define the permissions on the records of an object. OWDs are used to define permissions on the records of the object. Which users can see which record? OWD will say minimum level of permission that is given by Salesforce for every user in the organization. When you say first permission, OWD equal to private. When you say OWD equal to private, only owner of the record can see it, no other user can see the record. Which user can see the record? Only the owner of the record can see. Suppose Sham logged in. Suppose if the Sham logged in, which record you can see? Now, Sham logged in. If a Sham logged in, which record you can see? You can only see 111. Look at the point. Now, Sham logged into the organization. When the Sham logged in, which record you will be able to see? I told OWD private means what? Only owner can see. If Sham log in, which record Sham can see? If Sham log in, which record the Sham can see? If OWD is private, only owner of the record, only owner can see the record, no other people can see. Now who is the owner for 111? Who is the owner for 222? Who is the owner for 333? Right. If Sham logged in, who logged into the Salesforce? Sham logged in. If Sham log in and open this table, which record you can see? 111. If Ram log in, which record you can see? Only 222. Why? Because if OWD is private, only owner of the record can see the record, no other user can see. Now, what operation that Sham can perform on the record? On the record, Sham can perform read, write, delete. What operation he can perform? He can read, he can write, he can delete. Read, write. Can Sham see 222, 333? Can Ram see 222, 333, 111, 333? No. Only owner of the record can see the record. No other user can see the record. Then we are taking the next one. Next option. We have taken OWD equal to public read. When you say OWD equal to public read, every user can see every record in the object. Every user can see every record in the object. Which means, when Sham log in, which records can see? 111, 222. Every user can see every one record. But records for which he is the owner, the record for which he is the owner, On the record, he can perform read, write, and delete. The records for which he is not the owner, on them he can only perform. The records for which he is the owner, on those records he can perform read, write, delete. The records for which he is not the owner, on those records he can perform only read operation. So what is this? When a user log in, he can see everyone's record. When a Kiran logged in, which records he can see? 111. When a user log in, he can see every record. When user log in, he can see everyone's record. But the records for which he is the owner, on the record, he can perform what? Read, write, delete. The records for which he is not the owner, on those records he can perform read, write, delete. The records for which he is the owner, read, write, delete. The records for which he is not the owner, he can only perform. Whenever I give OWD equal to public read, he will be able to see everyone's record. He can see everyone's record, but on others' record, he can only perform read operation. When I say OWD equal to public read, he can see everyone's record, but on others' record, he can only perform read operation. Are you clear? So let us take one more example. The third one, OWD as public read, write, delete. We take the next one. OWD as public read, write, and delete. You say OWD as public read, write, delete. Public read, write. If you say OWD as public read, write, every user can see everyone's record. On others' record, they can perform read and. If you say OWD equal to public read, write, everyone can see everyone's record, but on others' record, they can only perform what? Read, write. People are following this point. So when I say on an object, if you define OWD as private, only owner of the record can see the record, no other user can see the record. Are you clear about the point? So take the points. OWD. Organization word, default settings. OWD. Organization word, default settings. OWD. Organization. This is used to define minimum level of access. This is used to define minimum level of access. Minimum level of access that is granted. All the users. This is used to define minimum level of access. Minimum level of access. That is defined for all the users. That is granted for all the users in the organization. There are different types of private, then public full access. Private, public read write, public read write transfer, public full access, controlled by parent. We are going with first one. If we define OWD as private on an object. If you define OWD as private on an object, only owner of the record, only owner of the record can access record and perform read, write, delete operation. When you say OWD as private, only owner of the record can access the record and perform read, write, delete operation on the record. Example, we have customer ID. If Sham login, Sham login, you'll be able to see 111 and perform read, write, delete. If the Kiran logs in, if Kiran log into the account, 333 Kiran, he can perform read, write and delete operation. If the Kiran log into the account, 333 Kiran, we have read, write, delete on the corresponding record called 333. If Sham log in, 111, Sham on the record, read, write, delete. If the Kiran log in, he can only see 333 Kiran, read, write and delete. So only the owner of the record can see the record and he can perform the operation of read, write and delete on the corresponding records for which he is the owner. Am I clear? Okay. The next one. Define OWD as public read. You define OWD as public read on the object. Every user access every record in the object. Every user can access every record in the object. Every user can access every record in the object and on the records. If you define OWD as public read on an object, every user can access every record in the object. Records for which he is the owner, on them he can perform records for which he is not the owner, he can own on them. On those records, he can only perform if he is the owner, he can perform read, write and delete. If he is not the owner, he can only perform read operation on others record. If he is the owner, he can perform read, write, delete read, write, delete operation on the record. If he is not the owner, he can perform only read operation. Let us take an example. If Sham log in, you can see 111 Sham, 222 Ram, 333. You can see everyone's record, but on others record he can only perform. You can see everyone's record, but on others record he can only perform read operation. When Kiran logged in, if Kiran logs in, then he can see 111, 222, 333. On others record, he can only perform read operation. OWD has public read. He can access everyone's record. On others record, he can only perform read operation. Then we are going with public OWD public read. Public read write. If we define OWD as public read write, every user can access every record in the object. On their records, he can perform read, write, delete operations. On his records, he can perform read, write, and delete operations. On others, he can perform read and write operation. If we define OWD as public read and write, every user can access every record in the object. On their records, he can perform read, write, and delete operation. On others record, he can perform read and write operation. So Sham login. On others record, you can see everyone's record. On others record, you can only perform read and write. Right. If Sham login, you can only able to see. You will be able to see 111, 222, 333 records for which he is the owner. On those records, read, write, delete. If he is not the owner, he can only perform read and write on the records. This is a record level permission. Are you clear about this point? Right about? Okay. This is what we have seen. So what are the permissions we have seen? Public read, write, private. Let us discuss about the next point. What is the next point? Public read, write, transfer. What is the next OWD we have? Public read, write, transfer. OWD, public read, write, transfer. What is the meaning of this? First of all, we can define this OWD. only on only on lead and case object. We can define this OWD only on lead and case object. We can define this OWD only on lead and case object. We can define this OWD only on lead and case object. We can define this OWD only on lead and case object. Next, if you define OWD as public read write if you define OWD as public read write transfer on an object, if you define OWD as public read write transfer on an object, every user in the organization can access every record in the object and on others record they can perform read, write. If you define OWD as a public read write transfer on an object, every user in the organization can access every record in the object. On others record, they can only perform read, write and transfer. Transfer means what? Right now you are the owner. I am changing the owner from Satish to Karthik. Changing the ownership of the record is called transfer. Right now I am the owner of the record. I am changing the owner from Satish to Kumar. It is called transfer. Changing the ownership of the record is called transfer. Now, look at the same example. Now, if Shyam login, read, write, delete, by default, owner will have transfer boss. By default, owner will have transfer because he is the owner of the record. He can transfer his record to anyone else. But if we say OWD has public read, write, transfer, he can transfer his records. Others record also he can transfer. He can transfer his record. Others record also he can transfer. But this OWD can be given only on which object? Only on lead and case. Right. OWD as public read write transfer. If you define the OWD as a public read write transfer, every user in the organization can access every record in the object. On others record, they can perform. Read, write, and transfer. On others record, they can perform read, write, and transfer. But this is available only for which object? This is available only for lead object and case. Lead object and case object. Am I clear? But the first three are available for every object. The first three are available for every object, but this is available for only lead and case object. People are clear about this? Clear? So let us take the next one. Full access. OWD. Public full access. When it is a public full access, this can be defined only on campaign object. This can be defined only on campaign object. This can be defined only on campaign object. OWD public full access. This can be defined only on campaign object. If you define full access, what will happen? If you define OWD as public full access, every user in the organization can access every record in the object. Every user in the organization can access every record in the object. and can perform read, write, delete, transfer operation. They can see every record in the object and they can perform read, write, delete, transfer on every record. Every user can see every record and they can perform any type of operation on any record. They can perform any type of operation on any record. When you say OWD equal to public full access, every user can see every record in the object and they can perform read, write, delete, transfer on every record. Every user can perform read, write, delete, transfer on every record. But this OWD is available for only campaign object. This is available for only campaign object. This OWD is available for only campaign object. This OWD is available only for campaign object. Am I clear with this? Am I clear with this point? Any query from anyone? Any query? Let us go to the next. We are giving control by parent. Now, the entire operation is giving us the entire OWD is running on only one point. What is the point? The entire operation is running on only one point. Are you the owner? If you are the owner, these are the permissions. If you are not the owner, these are the permissions. Am I right? Entire OWD is saying, if you are the owner, these are the permissions given to you. If you are not the owner, these are the list of permissions that are given to you. If you are the owner, these permissions. If you are not the owner, we have different set of permissions. Are you clear? So entire operation is running on, are you the owner of the record or are you not the owner of the record? Are you the owner of the record? Are you not the owner of the record? The entire operation is running on the single point. Are you the owner? Are you not the owner of the record? Am I right? Now the question is, if two objects are connected by master detail relationship, if two objects are connected by master detail relationship, the child object will not have any owner. If two objects are connected by master detail relationship, child object will not have any owner. When the child object doesn't have any owner, whoever is the owner of the master record, he will be the owner of the child record. That means child doesn't have ownership. When child doesn't have ownership, who is the owner of the record? If the child doesn't have any ownership, who is the owner of the child record? Right? If the child doesn't have ownership, then who is the owner of the child record? How do you define the OWD? So the child cannot have any one of its own OWD. Why? If two objects are connected by master detail, child object will not have any one of its own owner. So we cannot define the ownership on a child object. Whoever is the owner of the master record, he is the owner of the child record. So whatever the OWD we are giving on the master object, same OWD is applied on the child object. Whatever the OWD defined on the master object, same OWD is defined on the child object. Are you clear with this? Are you clear? Now, look at the point. When you say control by parent, if two objects are connected to each other using master and detail relation, then child object will not have its own. Child object will not have its own. So, whatever the OWD defined on the master object, same OWD will be applied on applied on corresponding child object. Whatever the ODBD defined on the master object, same ODBD will be applied on the child object, which we called as control by which we call it as control by parent. Whatever the ODBD defined on the master object, same ODBD will be applied on the child object, which we are calling as control by parent. Am I clear with this point? People are clear with this point? Control by parent means if two objects are connected by a master detail relationship, whatever the ODBD defined on the master object, same ODBD is applied on the corresponding child object, which is called control by parent. So these are ODBD settings what we have. Now the question is, where do you give these permissions? We have seen the different types of permissions, okay, but how do you set these permissions? Look at the navigation, setup, administer, security controllers, then we have sharing, settings, then you are finding organization wide defaults. Click on edit, you are able to see public read write, control by parent, public read write transfer, public full access. This is for price books. Then go back, then we have student. Let us see which object has more data. Then I'll take the same data. Now, customer. Go to the customer object. On the customer object I am giving. What is the ODBD I give? On the customer object I give private. On the customer object I give private. Setup, administer, then we have security controllers, sharing settings, then on the customer object, private. The customer object, private. But the point is, okay, go back to the Wilson. Is the Wilson. I went to the Wilson, click on customer. Now see how many records he was able to see. No records are here. But if you open the customer here, Satish opened a customer, he was able to find 11 records. Satish was able to find 11 records, but when Wilson opened, there are no records. Why? Because we give ODBD equal to private. When I say ODBD equal to private, let me give you. When I give ODBD equal to private, only owner of the record will be able to access. Who is the owner for all this record? Satish. That is the reason Wilson was not able to see any one of the record. If you define ODBD equal to private, only owner will be able to see, no other user can see the record. Chalo. Let us go to the next point. Go to the sharing settings. Then I give public read only. When is a public read only? Everyone can see everyone's record, but on others' record, they can only perform refresh. Wilson is able to see all the records which are owned by Wilson was able to see everyone's record. But when I am trying to edit, it says insufficient privilege. Why? If you are not the owner, you can only see the record, you cannot modify the record. When it is a public read, you are allowed to see others' record, but you are not allowed to modify others' record. When it is a public read, you are allowed to see everyone's record, but you are not allowed to modify others' record. Are you clear? Sure. Now I am giving ODBD equal to public read write. I am giving customer public read write. When it is a public read write, what does it mean? You are allowed to see everyone's record. You are able to modify the record. Who is the owner? Who is this person? Wilson was able to see everyone's record, click on edit, he was able to modify. But he is trying to delete. He is trying to delete. Insertion. You are only allowed to read and modify but not delete. So OWD will say which records in that table are visible to you, what type of operations you can perform on those records. Am I clear with this? People have followed? Right. Now there is one thumb rule. Look at the point. If I go to the profile of manager, we discuss only few permissions. Read, create, edit, right? Go to the manager. On the object, there are two extra permissions. What are the extra permissions? First, I will go to this OWD, make it as private. On a customer object, what is the OWD? When I say customer object, OWD is private. Everyone will be able to see only the records which they own. So, is the Wilson is having any one of its own record? No record. Wilson is not able to see any one of the record, right? Now, I went to the profile of the user. In the profile, I enabled what? I enabled view all. When you say view all, irrespective of your date, irrespective of your OWD, all the users with this profile can see everyone's record. When you say view all on an object for a profile, now manager profile, clerk profile, OWD is private. When OWD is private, all of you can see only your records. Now all of you are managers, all of you are clerks. Now when you say OWD equal to private, everyone can see only their record. He can see his record, he can see his record, she can see her record. But I went to manager profile, I told view all permission on an object. Then what happened? OWD is private only, but all these managers can see everyone's record. But clerk will be able to see only the records which they own. When you say view all for a profile, when I say view all for a profile, then what is the permission? When I say view all, every user who belongs to this profile, they can see every record in the object and can perform read operation. OWD is what? Private. But when the Wilson logged in, when he tried to open it, he was able to see everyone's record. When I try to edit, inception, because I gave only view permission. So, which will dominate? Profile will dominate. If you want OWD to be dominated for a profile, go to the profile, give view all. There is one more permission called modify all. When you say modify all, what happened? All the users with this profile can perform read, write, delete, transfer on every record. So, view all and modify all permission in the profile will dominate OWDs. View all and modify all permission will dominate OWDs. But view all and modify all is not given at organization level. It is given at profile level. View all and modify all is not given at organization level. It is given at profile level. OWD is given at organization level. But view all and modify all is given at profile level. Are you clear? So, if I give this permission, on a profile, for an object, for a profile, if we give view all permission, all the users with this profile can access all the records irrespective of OWD and perform read operation So when you say view all on an object for a profile, if you give view all the users with this profile can access all the records of the object, irrespective of the OWD, irrespective of OWD, and they can perform read operation on others record. Similarly, modify on an object for a profile. If we define modify all the users with this profile, can access all the records of the object and perform operations on all the. So view all and modify all will dominate OWD. View all and modify all will dominate OWD. Where are these view all modify all defined? In the profile on an object. Right. Similarly, we have view all modify all in the entire database. For a profile, all the manager profiles should be able to see every record of every table. Then we have view all at profile level, not at object level. View all at organization level. If you want this profile to see every table, every record, then we have a permission. Look at this. View all we discussed on an object. Now not for a specific object. Entire database you should see. If you want to see entire database, what is the option we have? View all. If I enable this, users with this manager profile can access all the objects, all the records. Similarly, we have modify all. There is a modify all data. All the users with this profile can access all the objects, all the records. For system admin profile, these two are enabled. That is the reason they are able to see everyone's data. Are you clear about this point? So what are the extra permissions that we have? View all data. For a profile, if we enable option, for a profile, if we enable this option, all the users with this profile, can access all the records, all the objects, and all the records. And can perform read operation. For a profile, if we enable this option, all users with this profile can access all the objects and all the records. All the objects and all the records of the objects. They can perform read operation on others record. Similarly, we have modify all data. For a profile, if we define all data, all the users with this profile can access all the records of all the objects and they can perform read, write, modify all. For a profile, if we enable modify all data option, all the users with this profile can access all the records of all the objects, and they can perform read, write, delete, transfer operation on all the records. This is entire database. Modify all on an object. Modify all data is on entire database. People have followed this. Right? So what did you discuss? On an object, what type of permissions you want to give? On the records, what type of permission you want to give? So object level and record level. Am I clear with this? People have followed? Okay. Let us discuss the next point. It's not yet completed. Let us discuss the next point. How are you giving the OWDs? Tell me. Setup. Administrator. Manage users. Administrator. Security controllers. Sharing settings. Then here we are able to find grant access using. There is one option here. Grant access using hierarchy. What is this grant access using hierarchy? If I enable this option, I can see all the records that are visible to my subordinates. In the role hierarchy, let us say, look at the view. We got the role structure like this. In my company, I have a role structure like this. I have a shop, user and both. Like this, we have the roles. Now, there are some records. 111 owned by Sham, 222 owned by. Like this, we have a record. On this object, I give OWD equal to private. When I say OWD equal to private, what will happen? When I say OWD equal to private, what will happen? Only the owner will be able to see. Which record Sham will be able to see? Only 111. But if I enable a grant access using hierarchy, Sham will be able to see all the records that are visible to his subordinates. Who are his subordinates? Manager, clerk. Sham is having a role called VP Sales. There is a reason he has a subordinates. Who are the subordinates? Manager, clerk, HR manager, HR executive. Manager, clerk, HR manager, HR executive. Then which records you will be able to see? Okay, 222, 333, 444, 555. Now which record Ram will be able to see? Ram will be able to see 222, 444, 222, 444. Under the manager, who is the subordinate? Clerk. Ram will be able to see his record and subordinate. Who is the subordinate? Clerk. Who has a role of clerk? Faraz. Which record is owned by Faraz? 444. So Ram can see Ram's record, Faraz record. Whereas the Kiran can see 333, 444. People who are at the same level, they cannot see each other record. If you are a manager, I am a manager, we cannot see each other data. We can see subordinate data. When I say grant access using hierarchy, the records which are visible to my subordinates, they are visible to me. So Sham will be able to see manager data, clerk data, HR manager data, HR executive data. manager will be able to see clerk data. Are you clear? Clear? So what is the permission? Grant access using hierarchy. If we enable this option, records that are visible to subordinates, the role hierarchy, are visible to records that are visible to the subordinates in the role hierarchy are visible to the all the records that are visible to the subordinates. If you enable this option, all the records that are visible to the subordinates in the role hierarchy are visible to you. Or I can say, we can also give it this way. If we enable this option, user can access all the records that are accessible to if we enable this option, user can access all the records that are accessible to his subordinates in the role hierarchy. User can access all the records that are accessible to the subordinate in the role hierarchy. What are the records that are visible to his subordinates? Those records you can see. If you enable this option, records that are accessible to the subordinates, those records can be accessed by him. Are you clear about this point? Now, the other point is note. By default, this option is enabled on standard objects. By default, this option is enabled on standard objects. On the custom objects, it is our choice. We can enable or disable. On custom objects, we can enable or disable based on your business requirement. On custom objects, we can enable or disable based on your business requirement. On the custom objects, we can enable or disable based on your business requirement. Grant access using hierarchy. If you enable this option, you will be able to see all the records that are visible, not old. So let us say I am a subordinate. I want 3 records, but I can also see 2 more records extra because of some permission. So how many records I am able to see? 5. I am the owner for 3 records, but I got some extra permission to see 2 of the extra records. So I am able to see 5 of the records. All these records are visible to you. If I am the subordinate, every record that is visible to me, you can also see that. Are you clear about this point? By default, this option is enabled for standard objects. On the custom objects, we have a choice. So we just see what is the permission. But when should we give this permission? When should we give this permission? We have not discussed that point. We just told if this is the permission, what permissions will be coming. Under what business use cases you have to take this? Under what business use cases you have to take this? What is the combination of profile and OWD we have to take? Because object level permissions are different, record level permissions are different. We need to take the combination of this, then only the security will come. Are you clear? We just had a glimpse of all the options that are available. Then how to make use of them in real time, we need to discuss. So I hope you are clear with all the options. Private means only owner can access, no other user can access. Public read, everyone can access everyone, but on others record, read. Public read write, everyone can access everyone's record, on others record, read write. When it's a public full access, everyone can see every record, perform all the operation. When you say public full access, only campaign. Public read, write, transfer. Everyone can see everyone's record. On others' record, read, write, transfer. Is available for only case read. Control my parent. If two objects are connected by master and slave relationship, the child object will not have any parent, any owner. Then whatever the ODBD we mentioned on the parent object, that is applied on the child. View all, it allows you to see all the records in the object irrespective of ODBD. Modify all the users of this profile can be able to perform read, write, delete, transfer operation on every record irrespective of ODBD. View all data, entire database, you can see, you can perform read operation. Modify all, entire database, you can see, read, write, delete, transfer on every record of the database. Grant access using hierarchy, you can be able to see records that are accessible to the subordinates. People are clear with this point? We'll see the use case of these two combinations in a session. This very important topic was. The complete administrator role. If you are playing an administrator role, this will be one of the major topics for you. Because this will be day-to-day access. If you are an administrator role, you need to control the visibility of the data on a daily basis. If you are on the administrative role, the security on the data is very important. This is the role what you are going to play more. So this topic is going to be very important. Right? So tomorrow we'll see the use cases with sharing rules, extension of the same ODBD. Any further queries?